Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Carlo of 4GQ TV here. I'm here with Paul, and I have a very special guest today. Welcome, Tom Schulman.
Thank you.
So, Tom, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh boy, that's always a tough question. Uh, well, I'm a writer and a director, and I've been making movies or involved in making movies for God, probably I hate to count those years, almost 40 years, I guess. And I'm still at it, still love it. You know, just finished this movie Double Down South, which I'm proud of, and it's coming out tomorrow. So in theaters, which I'm really pleased about. Having been a child of movies, I love the possibility that people will see it on the big screen as opposed to just on their televisions.
I'm really excited for this. I've seen the trailers of it. I think it's very well done from what I've seen. The story looks exciting, and it looks like one of those older but classic movies where there's great dialogue, there's great character interaction, and it doesn't have to rely on a lot of special effects. This is like a feel-good kind of story, at least from the trailer, what I could see. Obviously, I don't want to spoil anything because I haven't seen it, but it looks amazing, Tom.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, like any semi-thriller or gambling movie, you're going to have to feel bad at times in order to feel good later because it's got ups and downs for its main character. But hopefully everything you said is there on the screen.
Yeah. I will say that I was just looking at the list of stuff you have worked on, and you've actually done some of my favorites. Dead Poet Society is amazing. Eight Heads in a
Thanks.
Duffel Bag and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So you do all the genres. I like that. That's something,
Yeah.
and they've all hit very well. So I'm looking forward to this. I really
Oh,
am.
well, thanks. Thanks. I hope it delivers for you.
What was the casting like for this? Did you get to choose who was in the cast?
Yeah, the we had a wonderful casting director, Amy Lippens, and she just presented us with lots of options and all great options. And the producers basically said, "It's your movie, pick your cast." So they had their input, which was excellent. But at the end of the day, it was up to me. So uh, really happy with these folks. I think they're great.
You know what? I will say that after speaking to other filmmakers, that you sound like you got a good set of producers as well, because they said some producers will step in and they'll tell you, no, you have to do it this way. You have to do it this
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So,
part of the point for me of making a movie as an indie and,
yeah.
it's such a low budget was to get to do it the way I wanted to do it, as opposed to having, a lot of studio or
Yeah.
or other kinds of input. So, had really smart producers with great thoughts and ideas, but ultimately, it fell on me to make up my mind. So
What were
good or
some of the
bad, yeah, good or bad, it's my fault. So.
what were some of the challenges? Because I know this is more in the indie direction versus some of the other stuff that you've done in the past that might have had a bigger budget. So what was that? What was it like to get this produced and finalized?
Yeah, I mean, the schedule was just particularly given a lot of, that there's a lot of pool and in the movie and dealing with blocking around pool tables, dealing with, the continuity of the pool balls on the pool tables and so forth. It just made it so frustrating. And to try to do that in 21 days, which we did, we had
Oh,
no overtime in the movie. So, and we didn't even have time to have video playback. So
Oh,
if I saw it and I liked it, print it. Let's move on. There was no chance if we had spent any time looking, at shots again, we'd have never made the schedule. So hang on, I got to get this cat out of the room. So
so 21 days.
yeah,
That I've never heard anybody say they got a project done in 21 days for a
it was.
full movie.
I've never worked so hard in my life. And again, we had 10-hour days. That was it. No overtime. So it was,
wow.
it was high speed. And
Yeah.
fortunately, we had a crew that was amazing. Alan Padilla, our cinematographer, so quick. So, we didn't lose
Yeah.
much time or any time on setting up. It was really
You
that
mentioned
was great.
continuity on shooting pool. That must have been interesting
It's
because
tough, because
yeah.
especially when somebody breaks, right? Now you got balls all over the table, and you want to, and then the continuity people are, we gotta take a picture, we gotta spot where these balls
Yeah.
are waiting. You just want to get moving, but we gotta wait. So, and I'm, even with that, I'm sure we screwed up. I don't see the continuity mistakes anymore, but you can bet there are some.
Yeah.
So don't pay any attention to that while you watch.
So with 10-hour days and 21 days to film with no overtime, what was it like getting the cast to be able to stick to the script, or did they improvise at times?
It was, I am a compulsive rewriter. So every night I'd go back and look at the next day's stuff, make tweaks, make changes. I asked them all before we started shooting, are you good if I bring you new dialogue on the day of? And they all, I'm sure to the fact they really regretted it, said yes. So we tried to shoot in continuity, although, with COVID and everything else, but ultimately we ended up shooting all the scenes where there were very few actors at first, and then moving towards scenes where there were more actors and extras, so that if we were going to get sick, it would be late in the process. So that blew the whole notion of doing it in continuity, and as a result, the rewriting was only sporadic. But I spent I mean, I slept 4 hours every night. That was it. Was not tired, strangely, but and I think that worried me more than anything, was just what's going to happen with this lack of sleep. So I just spent the rest of the time, just constantly retooling, thinking through what had to happen on every shot, because with pool, there's the necessary ritual of chalking, getting ready, racking, the whole bit. And with this game of Keno, it's even trickier. So it was, I tried to think through, okay, this person's going to say this line, they're going to go do all this, or while they're doing their line, they're just going to do all this. So it was, God, I don't want to even think about it.
So where did the inspiration come from for this film? Because I know it's based around pool and then the illegal side of it. So where did this
Yeah.
come from?
In the category of a misspent youth, I spent a lot of time in a pool hall in Nashville called 20th Century Pool Hall. And it was, kind of a rat's nest of disreputable types. And, there were fights in there, fights in the parking lot. But in the back, they played this game called Keno. I'd seen it in other pool halls, so there was nothing that unusual about it, but it's a high stakes gambling game. And, you best be very careful before dip your toe into those waters, because you can lose a lot more money than you think you're even risking. So it left an impression on me. There was a woman that came into the pool hall who was a pretty heavy gambler, and it was unusual to have a woman in a pool hall at all, but this woman seemed to hold her own, and that stuck with me. And then a year into the pandemic, my wife said to me, you're always writing these movies with so many men in it. Can you write a woman? And I went, I don't know, man, I don't know. So I remembered this woman. I had always wanted to do something with Keno, and a couple days later, the story came to me, and here we are.
That's amazing. Like I said, I'm really excited. I think, Lily plays a great role and a great part in this, and it's very enticing. Seeing Kim Coates in there is pretty epic as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think your cast is on point. I think the set is on point that you chose. And that's another question I want to ask you is how did you choose the set for this? Where did this come from?
I had a friend whose brother had an all-night 24/7 poker game in his house, and he cut the pot. That's how he, made his money, provided booze and security, and had a federal gambling license, paid off the cops in Tennessee, and put his kids through college. It was a
Wow.
rough place, but he also had this inspiration that he would bring famous poker players from all over the country, and he'd pay them to come, and then the locals would come and try do their best against those people, and the stakes were really high. And if you're cutting the pot, that's how you make good money. So that always stuck with me, and I thought that could work for Keno. Kim Coates plays this sort of impresario of Keno out in the middle of nowhere in this plantation house where the police are paid off and leave you alone. you've got all these people coming to try to, do their best against the best. So that's how the notion of a plantation house and, doing it in a rural area and so forth. And then it's very run down because if you're the customers don't care. So, why should you? So the Coates character his name is Nick, just never, cleans the place up. So it is what you saw a glimpse in the
Mhm.
trailer.
Now, was this filmed at a live location outside of a set, like a Hollywood set? Did you
No,
actually go
it
out?
was a, no, we found, fortunately it's two locations. The interior and exterior are different. But the interior was fortunately a plantation house in Madison, Georgia, where the owner had just bought it. And he was gonna gut it and redo it. And he said, you can do anything you want to it. So we took him at his word. And then the exterior was in Union, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Two different how did you scout those locations? How did that come about?
It took forever because the setting was in the script. And it's a cliche, but we all knew that setting was really a character in the movie. So it took 8 months to find the right exterior and the right interior. We'd hope to find them in the same location because it's not cheap to move, but we couldn't. So the one in South Carolina was a great exterior, but we couldn't take the interior down. So or without restoring it. Whereas in Georgia, we didn't have to pay to restore it. So that made a big difference.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm just when I looked at the trailer, I was amazed at the the aesthetics of the set. Like I thought it was really good because it almost felt like as I was watching the trailer that I could walk into a place like this and
Mhm.
find people like this in this place that are playing these type of games or cards or whatever it is, but it just
Right.
fits so well. So you did an excellent job on that. I just
Oh,
want to let you know.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. But we were very careful about trying to, to make it look real, feel believable.
And then from conception, from when you first wrote the script to getting into, I guess, like the pre-production phase to the production phase, how long did that all take? How many years?
A year.
Oh, wow.
I finished the script in April and, never really finished it, but I finished a draft that we sent out for casting and so forth, and then got the financing in April, and we were shooting in late February the next year. So it was insanely quick, really lucky. Partly due to COVID, I think, that so many people had shut down, and if we were gonna take the risk of doing it, we did have some people helping, but people that were, but at the same time, a lot of studios were, back into production. So Georgia was just flooded with production. So it was tricky. And, we all wore masks the whole time. Everybody tested every day. We only had one positive test in, almost 3,000 tests. So, go figure, we got really lucky. And we had no contingency to shut down. I don't know what would have happened. It was just the unspoken, and it just never happened.
One of these days you may have to write a book to inspire the people how to get a project done, how to write something in less than a year, and then how to get it produced in less than 21 days, because that
Yeah.
is phenomenal. I don't know how you pulled this off during the pandemic as well. And everybody was just like, go, 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 go. And it came out to be this fantastic cinematic looking masterpiece for this type of film.
Well,
I'm excited to see this. I really can't wait.
don't get too excited. It can't, if your expectations are too high, go in on the low side of
Yeah.
expectations, it'll come out better, I think. But yeah, no, look, I was terrified because, everything was just suddenly the producers are saying to me, you got to do this now or not at all, and it's like, oh boy, and the notion that, and don't get, you can't shut down. So don't, sick, you got to be incredibly careful. It's like, I got to control COVID too. I can't control COVID,
Right.
but somehow we did. So
The fact that you only had one positive over 3,000 tests, I mean,
I know.
that just means that it sounds like your crew and everybody was also just doing their best to realize that they had to focus and do this and not,
Yeah. Well, we made sure that our Sunday and Mondays were that we shot over the weekends, so the crew couldn't go to the bars on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night. So Monday and Tuesday were our days off, and those days in Madison, Georgia, all the restaurants were closed. So so everything was designed to keep, and of course we trusted everyone
Right.
not. And so therefore it was, it was
Yeah.
that sort of thing that, you know.
But planning that way, even though you trust everyone, planning that way probably protected you more, a lot, as far as that goes. So
Yeah,
that's
people
good.
people were pretty frustrated, but and Seth and Sarah, our producers in Georgia, were great with that sort of stuff. They just had a
Yeah.
lot of experience, and they just said, "This is what we have to do," and it worked.
Very
It's
cool.
it's good that you had a great team behind you to
Yeah,
kind of get you through this to expedite it. Is
yeah.
this the shortest project you've ever done?
Yeah, I would say maybe Medicine Man happened that quickly. But I was fired right before it started shooting, so I don't know.
Oh,
But yeah, I would say so.
and I know that you mentioned that your wife brought up the fact about trying to, create a lead female role in this. Was that a challenge for you, or did you pick it up right away?
I think because I had this woman in mind, because I knew what I wanted from her is from the character anyway. It felt like it was working when I was writing it, but she was fairly pleased with it when she read it. I didn't screw it up too badly, so she had good notes. So yeah, it was and I'm sort of the opinion that, as a writer, you sort of have to be able to, on some level, channel anybody,
Right.
and throw yourself into their circumstances and go. Will it be as rich as if you were a woman?
Yeah.
Probably not. But
Yeah.
that's where
Now,
you have hundreds of other eyes on it to help you out if you need it.
do you ever bounce stuff off your wife? Like if you were in this situation, how would you react or what would you say? Yeah. Did you
Not so,
ever?
no,
Yeah.
no, because then she's gonna get pissed if I don't do it that way in the screenplay. So,
Way to
Yeah,
protect yourself. Yeah. Way
that's a
yeah,
good way to protect yourself on that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
So this is coming out in theaters tomorrow. Is it
Mhm.
a is it going to be a nationwide theatrical release?
To some extent, I would say it's mostly skewed toward the southeast, and
Okay.
there's some in Arizona, a little bit in LA, a little bit in New Mexico, some in Texas, but I would say mostly the Atlanta, Tampa, Jacksonville, that hub, and and if it does well, they'll spread it out from there.
Very cool.
Yeah,
All right. It's something that I'm going to reserve a ticket for to see in the theaters as well because, like you said, the theatrical experience is something that cannot be replaced.
that's right. Yeah,
And it's a magical experience. And just to be able to see this set in a theater, I'm excited. I,
yeah.
I know you said keep my expectations low, Tom, but
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this.
Yeah. Well, it's 2 hours, so it's not a short thriller, but hopefully, I'm all about character development, so hopefully that'll hold your interest, and it's got a story. So,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, I was going to say something else. Yeah, the theatrical experience. I just, for me, I just feel so lucky that we found a distributor that wanted to do it this way. Because, and I hope you're not alone in the theater. People aren't going, so I'm
Yeah.
not, hoping for a lot, but at least it's got a shot. So I just don't think movies play as well, when you're alone in your uh, living room as with other people. It's meant to be a communal experience. So
Yeah. I wish I could do the theater experience more because I like that because one, it takes away any distractions I might have from sitting at home, phone,
right.
all of a sudden somebody's walking through the door,
Yeah,
whatever. So I can enjoy a movie more without the interruptions. And I miss that because,
yeah, no,
because
I do too.
yeah.
And every time I'm watching a movie, my wife will go, what movie was that person in? And while I'm watching, she's, looking up some actor. I'm like, oh my God. It's just,
oh, that was the guy in. So yeah, you're like,
yeah,
yeah, it was.
exactly. Yeah. Who was his father? It's just like, so yeah.
Like,
I mean, if it makes you feel better, Tom, when I watch stuff with my wife, I'm always like, oh, that's so and so from, and I always get it wrong, but I think it's from something else. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's the guy that was in this show on this channel. And she's
Uh-huh.
like,
yeah.
no, it's not. They don't even look closely as the same.
That's a funny bit, actually. That you can make a little comedy out of people watching,
Yeah.
arguing about that. So, yeah. Yeah.
So
So,
I think a lot of these stories are usually they don't usually have sequels, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Do you see a potential for a sequel on something like this?
I don't know. I've never done a sequel to any of my movies, and I've always, because they're just a one-off story. I always feel like I've done the best story. Why would I not do the best story I could think of? Now maybe there's another one, and maybe it wouldn't even be with the lead character. I don't know, but you'll see, and you'll tell me whether you think
Yeah.
there's it.
Um,
If it was going to go on, it would go on in a way.
Right.
I don't even know how to begin. It would just be somebody else would have to take it over and figure something out.
Yeah,
So,
the ones of your stuff that I've watched are very self-encapsulated, and you can't see a sequel to Dead Poet Society. That story can only be told once,
yeah, they tried, believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're still trying. They're
Yeah.
still trying. They got about 2 years ago. I had a meeting and they had this idea. I'm like,
No.
no, no, sorry. It's just the same movie all over again.
Yeah.
That's really what they want to do. So,
I think it speaks though to the content uh that was created previously to what we see commonly now in the theaters. I think it speaks to the legacy of that content. There's so many great movies from the 80s and the 90s that you can't really repeat those stories, but you're seeing them be remade because they
mhm,
know they were so good. That's how
mhm,
good they were because they encapsulated the audiences back then. And you
right.
could never picture, but the problem I have is you can never picture any other actor doing that role again because you're always going to want like a Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future.
Right.
It's hard to see somebody else in that role.
It is. And I don't know why, if I were an actor, I would want to redo somebody else's role or even, pit myself.
Yeah.
First of all, most likely they're doing famous movies
Yeah.
again because they
Yeah.
don't have the nerve to do the
Yeah.
failures, some
Yeah.
of which could have been really good movies, but
Yeah.
I doubt anybody in a boardroom is going to go, so wait a minute, you took this thing that bombed and
Yeah.
you remade it with big stars and it bombed. And so that's
Yeah.
not going to happen. So,
Yeah.
so now what kind of
Yeah.
actor is going to want to go and redo, some great performance? I don't know
Well,
how you do
yeah.
it.
Who wants to step in and try to redo Robin Williams? Okay, that you're
Yeah,
just
for anybody. Yeah, the
yeah,
comparison
but
will not be
yeah,
good.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And that leads me to the question on your writing. So when you're writing on your scripts, does anybody ever try to come along and be like, oh, Tom, I think we should do it this way? And then are you open to suggesting? You're pretty much like, no, I think it's pretty good the way I wrote it. I'm going to keep it this way.
Right. Always people come along with, why don't you do it this way? And I'm open if I hear an idea that's better than the one I've got, by all means, I'll take it. So, that's,
Yeah,
and sometimes, it's hard to be
yeah,
open.
yeah,
The first modality is to be defensive, no, this is great. But then, if you go away and you think about it and you go, wow. I mean,
yeah,
throughout my career, the question is always, how do you deal with the studio notes?
yeah,
And my answer for me is, if it's an exciting note and a good note, of course I'm going to do it. And if it feels in my gut like it's wrong, I'm not.
Did so on
Yeah.
this show, even though you had a tight shoot, you said you were doing rewrites almost like every night, or
Every night. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did I know you couldn't do probably a lot of, but did was there a lot of that there? Would like say Kim come up and say, hey, I think this would be better this way for tomorrow or whatever, or did any of them?
No, I would spring it on them. It was always, Somebody once said, making a movie is like playing chess with the universe. And I think
Yeah.
that's true to a certain extent. So you see how things are working and you see,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you go, this next scene would work a little bit better if I, tweaked
Yeah.
it a little bit this way, because you need to mold the material for the actors and
Right.
mold the actors for the material. It's a constant
Yeah.
process. So and I learned, I was fortunate enough to be on the set of Dead Poet Society, and I just learned from the get-go from Peter Weir that, if you have a feeling about something, you got to do it there on the spot. You're only going to be there once, and you
Yeah.
always want to shoot the script the way you wrote it once, because you do get tired of some of the humor and the jokes or whatever,
Right.
and think they're dead, and then you're wrong. They were good, but they've been in front of you for too long. But after that, if you do get a better idea for something in a scene, line of dialogue, try it. You can't, worst that
Right.
happens, you just use what you had to begin with.
But
So
yeah, when you have
yeah,
time to go, hey, let's try it this way. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
on this shoot, it didn't sound like you had that kind of time or freedom.
Not really, but I did enough because
Yeah.
we had
Yeah.
some rehearsals, so that
Yeah.
helped. I was able to just hear the whole thing and go, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
this needs to move to here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, also just as much as anything, preparing it for, the actual shoot, and again, dealing with all the blocking that I knew was coming, making sure I had that all thought through, meant moving dialogue or changing a character's motivation, scene, whatever,
Yeah.
it's just total instinct for 21 days, sleepless instinct.
Well, Tom, I know we're almost at time, so I have one last question before Paul asks his exit question. I'll call exit, usually icebreaker question, but now
Okay.
it's more like it. So the one last question I have for you is, in something like this that you just had to get done so quickly, did you have a lot of time to search for props, or did you just pretty much use whatever's in the environment?
We had the art department was amazing. I said, we need a jukebox, and there was a jukebox. And some of the furniture that was in the house we were able to use, although the Jim who owned the house didn't want us to trash his furniture. So the art department just scoured, and they just did an amazing job of bringing in all the stuff you'll see. It was mostly from a combination of prop houses and, flea markets and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we spoke to a prop master just 2 weeks ago, and so now every time I watch a show, I'm looking at the different props and stuff, and go, oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah. And it makes me incredibly nervous because you get there 3 days, before, where is everything? It'll be here 2 days. Where is it? And then the day of it all shows up. It's like, okay, and it better be right. And it, so we had a great production designer. So
All right. And to
yeah.
close things off, we
Yeah.
asked this question to everybody we interview. It has nothing to do with the subject, but it's just a
Okay.
fun little question we throw out there. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
Good
Yes!
call.
All
I'll
right.
eat it. I'll eat it. I'll eat it, but I would never order. How about you?
No, 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 no,
Nope.
no.
Yeah.
Nope. Nope.
We're both very Italian and both very
Yeah.
no. Very no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big, I can't find anybody to share it with me, but I'm a big anchovy pizza person.
Okay.
I will do
I
anchovy. I will
I
do
All
can
right.
see.
anchovy.
All right, I
There
can
you
see
go.
that. All right,
Yeah.
I can see that.
So
Okay. All
if we
right.
ever have
Yeah.
a chance to get to a pizza place together, we're all ordering anchovy.
Absolutely.
We'll
That's
clear
great.
the place out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.